Unit 3, Period 3, Section 8 deals with the presidencies of George Washington and John Adams. George Washington was the first president elected in the United States, and he was elected unanimously by the Electoral College. George Washington was hero of the French and Indian War for the colonists, hero of the Revolutionary War for the colonists, and now unanimously elected as president of the United States. The main thing you need to know about George Washington was that he set some precedents as president. Precedents are examples for future presidents to follow. These things were the type of things that were not included in the Constitution. For instance, he chose not to wear a military uniform, but yet wear a sword on his side. He felt and needed a group of advisors to give him advice while he was president of the United States. These advisors became known as his cabinet. Here I'm just showing you a picture of from a museum of one set of false teeth that he wore, that he had made for himself. He was a very rich man, and only the rich could afford dentures such as these. George Washington did not belong to a political party, yet he encouraged two men in his party known as Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. Hamilton was his Secretary of the Treasury, and Jefferson was his Secretary of Secretary of State. These two men differed in their views on government. Alexander Hamilton believed in a strong national government, while Thomas Jefferson believed in strong state governments. Some other major differences between the parties that these two men are going to institute. With Alexander Hamilton and the Federalists, they believed in a strong national government. They believed that our country would be better off if it was more built like Great Britain, depending more on manufacturing. They believed that the rich and the educated should have more of a say-so as far as running our country. And Alexander Hamilton and the Federalists believed that the Constitution should be loosely interpreted, to the point that Alexander Hamilton supported the national government's building of a national bank to store all the country's money in, even though the Constitution did not mention that. Thomas Jefferson, on the other hand, the founder of the Democratic Republican Party, believed that power should rest at the states level, that we should follow the model of France and be more of an agrarian type of nation, that more common people should have a say-so in the governance of our country, and he believed in a strict interpretation of the Constitution. And this is going to cause conflicts with Hamilton. Just like the Articles of Confederation, there's going to be, with the Shays Rebellion, there's going to be a rebellion that's going to challenge the power of the new national government under the Constitution. And this is going to be called the Whiskey Rebellion. The difference between Shays Rebellion and the Whiskey Rebellion is that with the new U.S. Constitution, there's an army that is going to be able to travel to Pennsylvania and put the rebellion down. This rebellion is going to demonstrate the strength of the new national government. At the end of George Washington's presidency, in his farewell address, George Washington is going to call for two things. He's going to call for non-intervention or neutrality in a war that's being fought between France and England. He's going to beg the country that he rules to stay out of Great Britain and France's business and stay out of that war. And he's going to say that we need to keep away from political parties. Those are two things that you're going to need to remember from George Washington's farewell address. He's going to be replaced by John Adams. John Adams is going to become the second president of the United States. He's going to be the only Federalist president the United States has ever known. And there's going to be two events that are going to define his presidency. One is the Alien Sedition Acts, and the other is the XYZ affair. The Alien Sedition Acts were an attempt by the Federalists, his party, to defeat his opponent, Thomas Jefferson, for re-election in 1800. The idea was to extend the amount of time it takes for immigrants to become citizens in our country from 4 to 7 years. With the extra amount of time, this would put their citizenship past the 1800 election and making them ineligible to vote for Jefferson. That's the alien part of the act. The sedition part of the act said that newspaper editors and editorialists could not write negatively about Adams in newspapers without risking being put in prison for sedition. The XYZ affair occurred when John Adams, the Federalist, attempted to stop a war with France by sending delegates to negotiate with the French. Our delegates were asked to pay a bribe of over $250,000 just to be able to speak to the French ruler. They refused. They returned to the United States. Adams went before Congress and declared that our alliance with France, the Alliance Treaty of 1778, would no longer be in effect. And so we ended our alliance with France from the Revolutionary War. This concludes Unit 3, Period 3.